Well, joining me in studio is Enrique Roig, a former USAID coordinator for Central America and former State Department official under the Biden administration. Great to have you here. We're hearing about this temporary move by a judge blocking some of these moves to put USAID employees essentially, on paid leave. Right. I know you're in touch probably with some people that still work there. What are you hearing? Are people still being let go by the agency?
Yeah, well, thank you, Carl, for the invitation. And yes, I mean, people right now are sort of in limbo. They have this restraining order, but still the folks that are overseas in missions have been told that they have 30 days to pack up and leave. So you can imagine sort of the stress that that's, people are feeling. They have to move house, they have to uproot their kids from school, figure out where they're going to move to in the U.S. And so it's creating a lot of uncertainty and a lot of anxiety for a lot of former colleagues that work at USAID.
These cuts, you worked in Central America, or you kind of oversaw the work there of USAID. What kind of impact do you think that's going to have on the work there? Not only aid workers, but the agencies, the people, of course, that were being helped by this money and this funding.
Yeah, I mean, the work that I specifically focused on was on gang violence prevention in Central America. So that work was focused on ensuring that we provided security in those countries so that people actually wouldn't migrate to the U.S. It was part of what's called the root causes strategy. So it also focused on dealing with corruption issues, providing support to human rights defenders, other programs like economic development, humanitarian assistance. So part of a larger package of USAID support, which is crucial in these countries. I can tell you, for example, in Colombia, USAID has been providing humanitarian assistance to almost 2.5 million Venezuelans who the Colombians have accepted to reintegrate, who are fleeing from the Maduro regime. They're doing the same thing in Ecuador and Peru. So you can imagine now what's going to happen without USAID assistance. Where are all these Venezuelans going to go if they have no support for reintegration into these countries? So I can't emphasize enough the life-saving support that USAID provides, not only in this context, but all over the world. Life-saving medicines, vaccines, food aid, for example, of which USAID buys almost $2 billion worth of food commodities from small farmers in the Midwest states like Iowa, for example, which is now sitting at ports here in the U.S., potentially rotting away, instead of going to places like Sudan or the Congo or Gaza. So again, the critical assistance that USAID provides is
and you mentioned there kind of these immigration factors, right?
Right.
Colombia, but really looking at a lot of Latin American countries, we've seen that immigration come towards the U.S. border. It's interesting to see because Secretary of State Marco Rubio has really turned his focus towards Central America, Latin America. This was intentionally his first trip, wasn't it, when he took office? Do you think that this is almost a missed opportunity in a way for the administration? They're so focused on immigration. It sounds like a lot of the work that USAID was doing was aimed at kind of preventing that.
No, of course, not only in Colombia and Central America, but also in Haiti, for example, which is suffering major gang violence. So USAID has a major portfolio in Haiti to provide humanitarian assistance as well as community violence prevention work, economic support as well, again, to mitigate the potential for Haitians wanting to migrate to the United States. So, of course, this is part of a much larger comprehensive approach to mitigate migration, in addition to the law enforcement approach, which is also critical as well.
We've got about a minute left. You were a former USAID official. You also worked with the State Department. Given that perspective, and it seems like part of the plan could be to fold USAID into the State Department itself, given your experience, is that a plan you think that's feasible?
It's going to be very complicated given the fact that if they really want to downsize from 10,000 employees to 250, the State Department does not have the capacity to administer foreign aid in the way that USAID has been doing to date. So they're going to have some real challenges there. Of course, it would have much better if this process had been actually done more deliberately with Congress leading it to discuss how to actually reform development assistance. Because I think we could all agree from a bipartisan perspective that there are reforms that need to be made, but you don't put it through the wood chipper like Elon Musk has said and start, essentially demonizing foreign aid by saying that it's a criminal organization and that those who work for it are lunatics and Marxists. So that obviously, as your starting point, does not really help in terms of dealing with issues like capacity and how to actually reform an institution and put it within the State Department.
Enrique Roig, former USAID coordinator for Central America, former State Department official under President Biden as well. Thank you for your time. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you, Carl.
Thank you.